It's John Bowden, Shannon Edwards, Rock History Music, and we're simulcasting on Rock History Canada as well because, when you think about the band, they were a Canadian and American band, so they were a little of both. And Garth Hudson, the death of Garth Hudson yesterday, man, did we get a lot of feedback off this? Amazing.
So much.
Let me just turn off our. There's always something we forget to turn off. But it's been overwhelming. A lot of people say, well, why don't you do a thing on the band, which we're planning on doing because it seems like a good time. Because Garth Hudson, at 87 years old, was the last remaining member of the band. And we're going to go through the people who we have lost. And in the order we lost them in the band. And it's strange, you can't, five guys that have gone back that far, with Ronnie Hawkins, the Hawks, and of course playing with Bob Dylan. When you go back that far, you look at 2025, you're going to lose some people. And in this case, we've lost everybody. But the fact that, Shannon will read some of the comments that we've gotten from musicians. The fact that people were saying, what, Mensa smart, eh? They were going,
Super
Garth
smart.
Hudson, Mensa smart.
I had no idea.
Yeah, well, he was a quirky kind of guy, and he was a very private man. We're going to play you the thing we played yesterday in just a second, in between some of the comments that we had. But like I said, last surviving member, the first member of the band to pass away, Richard Manuel rather. I've got Samuel up there for another quote. Richard Manuel, who died on March 4th, 1986. He was only 42 years old after he was playing a gig with the band and went on stage and off stage and was thanking the members, especially Garth Hudson and Rick Danko. He was just going, thanks for this, thanks for that. And he took his own life after the show, which dumbfounded people. And, like I said, pretty young, 42 years old. The next one to pass away was Rick Danko, bassist, died in 1999. He was only 55 years old. Just a few weeks short of his 56th birthday. So a lot of times you'll go in and go, oh, how old was he? And people will say 56 because he was so close. Well, he was
Still,
technically he was. He died of heart failure in his sleep at his home in New York State. Levon Helm came after that. He was 71 years old. He died in 2012. He died from complications of throat surgery, April 19th, 2012. Robbie Robertson, not that long ago, August 9, 2023. He was 80 years old after a year-long battle with prostate cancer. And Garth Hudson, yesterday, we got this news right in the morning when I went, what? It was, we're going to play you the bio that we put out yesterday on this channel alone, but it's, when you lose the final member, it's kind of like a nail in the coffin almost. You know that it was never going to happen again, but this is the comment that the official band released. I mean, it's obviously people who run the website and run the Facebook group, but this is what they said.
Today, we sadly say goodbye to Garth Honeyboy Hudson, the last living original member of the band. A musical genius and cornerstone of the group's timeless sound, Garth once said, I found some true enjoyment in helping people get to the bottom of their feelings. Through his music, he did just that, helping us all feel more deeply and connect to something greater. Rest easy, Garth.
For anyone who knows the band Northern Pikes, they're one of my favorite Canadian bands. And Jay Semko is, oh, look at this. Like the last time you'd want anybody to give you a call. But I'm going to put this up here. Here's Jay. And there's a comment from Jay from the Northern Pikes.
Sad news today with the passing of Garth Hudson. This grainy photo of Garth and myself was taken in 1989 when Garth spent a number of days working with the Northern Pikes while we were recording our Snow in June album at Bearsville Studio near Woodstock, New York. Garth subsequently appeared in 2 music videos with us, and we had some crazy fun experiences together. Garth was a brilliant musician and an amazing human being, and I feel extremely blessed and grateful to have had the opportunity to work together musically and to become friends. Sending love and prayers to Garth's family and friends.
If anyone who's listening, if you don't know the Northern Pikes, seriously, go on Spotify, go on a streaming service, and check them out. The first and second album, to me, even though they kind of really broke through big with a big hit on their third. To me, this was like one of the great Canadian bands. We got some comments.
Alex Knight is joining us. Hey, Alex.
Hey, Alex. Alex is like our biggest. Alex, you are the greatest man that ever lived. That's all I have to say.
Richard Manuel's death was so sad. Robert chimed in, sad, another one of the greatest lost to us, not soon forgotten. Frank says one of the greatest American rock bands with all talented musicians. And Noel stands on here, rest in peace, Mr. Hudson. Thank you for the music.
Here's a piece that Laurie Yates put together, and I'll just get this ready for you, Shan.
R.I.P. Garth Hudson. We've lost a titan, a genius, a giant who influenced every keyboard player after him and musician in the roots genre and beyond. And he was our Canadian boy.
Yeah, that's Laurie's a very, very, very talented lady. This is something that Jeff Woods put up. Jeff is one of my, and I've said this before, Jeff is my favorite classic rock DJ. Jeff's got this voice. He talks right down here. And, you know, he does it better than anyone I ever knew. He wrote this really long thing, so I'm not going to go through because the bio is basically very similar to the bio that we put out, that we're going to release in just a second. But Jeff is a good guy, and Jeff's talked to everybody in Canadian music. But not only that, international music too. One of his favorite interviews I read his book was talking to Paul Rogers, who of course is one of the greatest vocalists of all time. Right now we're going to, any more comments do we've got?
Yeah, Trucker Kev says, both Ricks, Alex, Richard, and Rick. Derek says, Garth was amazing, a gentle giant, R.I.P. Mm-hmm. And Trucker joins in again. I still find it amazing, though, the years how Garth stayed loyal to the Lowry organ and never went to Hammond.
Yeah, here's something from, Steve Forbert. Remember Romeo's Tune 79? I mean, he's been going a long time since then, and that was his big hit. But here's a message from Steve Forbert.
Garth Hudson was the last living member of that very special and specialized quintet we all know and love as the band. I'm sad to learn that he passed away yesterday. The world hasn't really been the same since Levon passed away, and Garth Hudson's death is sadly the end of an era.
Colin Linden, who is one of the great bluesmen in the country. Let me make sure I know where Colin is. Collins are here. Let's put something up from Colin. We've got. I haven't used this software in a while, so there's Colin, and there's this.
So saddened by the passing of my great friend and hero, Garth Hudson. Garth was tremendously kind, Mensa smart, and constantly fascinating and fascinated with music. He had a wonderful sense of humor and was greatly encouraging to musicians of all ages and interests. As Richard Bell used to say, there's all the musicians in the world, then there's Garth.
Now, hold on a second. Let me get put this down. Mensa smart, huh?
There you go.
Because he was like a mad scientist. Like, he really wasn't mad. He really, when you talk about multi-instrumentalists, a lot of people will say, oh yeah, he played piano, and yeah, he can play guitar or whatever. They sometimes say that, or whatever instrument you want to put in there. Garth could play a lot of instruments, and he was like, both of his parents, as you'll hear in our bio that's coming up in a second, they're like musicians, and they were paying attention. We all went to school with, kids where you go, and you did too. I know you told me some stories where you go to school and someone would say, did you play an instrument? Oh yeah, I'm really good. We've all went to school with those kids, and they tell you they're really good. And then you ask another guy and say, hey, or a girl, say, did you play an instrument? Oh yeah, I dabble a little bit. And then later on, you'd see them at a talent show. I dabble a little bit. They're the ones that are
amazing.
Modest.
Yeah, and they're phenomenal.
So here's another one. Bob Weir. Let me see which one this is. Yeah, Bob Weir of the Grateful Dead. Here's a picture. And the organization for the Grateful Dead released, here we go. I think that's the one there.
This one here?
Yeah.
As one of the original members of the band, Garth Hudson, alongside Rick Danko, Richard Manuel, Robbie Robertson, and Levon Helm, inspired several musicians, including the Grateful Dead. The two bands shared the stage on multiple occasions, notably during the legendary Festival Express Train tour across Canada, alongside Janis Joplin, Buddy Guy, and others.
I talked to Sylvia Tyson last year. One of the highlights of me interviewing Ian and Sylvia. And she had said that the Festival Express which they were on. I think they went on the last minute. That she said something about Janis Joplin. She said that, Janis didn't want to make any girlfriends.
But wasn't she so gracious too? Because didn't you have to do that interview twice?
Yes. Speaking of Canadian icons, I'm talking to Sylvia Tyson. It's a great interview. She's very forthright.
You're locked and loaded.
I'm locked and loaded, and I didn't know that on Zoom you could actually phone someone on Zoom, and when you make an automatic Zoom call, automatically it gives you an option of a phone number. I've never paid attention to it. I would always skip that part and copy and paste the top part. And then one of the guys who was setting up the interview, Eric Alper, who's one of the best publicists in Canada, he knows everybody, told me this. He says, well, you can kind of do it on Zoom. But anyway, she talked about Festival Express and how all the musicians were great. Nothing against Janis Joplin, but she just said she tried to get to know her and she wasn't interested. She was more interested in the guys. The Eagles released a message as well. The band has left the stage, RIP, last remaining member, Garth Hudson. And that was it. And this is the thing that we released. Do we have any more, before we get to the bio that we released yesterday, which I think is at 20,000 hits already?
Yes, Kevin said all the original members of the band are deceased, so sad. Swade said R.I.P. Garth. I just found out about us passing the bands back together on the other side. True. Lost child, brother John and sister Shannon. We're all standing in line waiting to go home. Happy New Year. I've changed my handle to match who I am. I have the vinyl, The Last Waltz, God bless. Oh, Blaze.
Oh, Blaze. Hey, thank you. Always a big supporter. The thing with me is the first album that I bought with the multi-pictured album, which was Stage Fright. When I got Stage Fright, I didn't get it till that album. And, music from Big Pink, you'd think I would have gotten that one, the first one, and their self-titled album that came out a year after. But when I got Stage Fright, I kind of stopped in my tracks and I went, and someone had given it to me because they had just bought a new copy of it. And I put it on. I went, there's nothing wrong with this copy, but I guess I'm glad that person was an audiophile. I'd have to look at my journal to see who that was. But I got it. And then, of course, I went back and I went forward after that. And then The Last Waltz happened while I was still in high school. And all the guests that were on that, their final tour. And then they came back later on. And it was an amazing situation, but we're going to play you the thing that we played yesterday, which is sort of and we'll come back after that. Hudson was an innovative multi-instrumentalist, and his intricate organ work and musical versatility helped shape the iconic sound of the band. He passed away peacefully in his sleep on Tuesday morning at a nursing home in Woodstock, New York, according to the Toronto Star. And yes, he was 87 years old. He was known for his very quiet demeanor and a reluctance to step out into the spotlight, though Hudson was a cornerstone of the group that started as the Hawks, the backing band for Arkansas-born rockabilly singer Ronnie Hawkins. In 1966, they transitioned to support Bob Dylan during his groundbreaking Electric Tour, a pivotal moment in rock history. Hudson's genius shone brighter when the band emerged with their own 1968 debut album, Music from Big Pink. It was followed by their self-titled 1969 classic. His classical training and innovative technique set him apart, blending sophisticated arrangements with real roots rock grit. Robbie Robertson, the band's guitarist and primary songwriter, lauded Hudson's talent in his memoir, Testimony, saying he played brilliantly, in a more complex way than anybody we had ever jammed with. Garth was classically trained and could find musical avenues on the keyboards we didn't know existed. Hudson's signature contributions included the Bach-inspired introduction to Chest Fever, which evolved into a concert centerpiece, the Genetic Method, and the wah-wah clavinet on Up on Cripple Creek. Whether it was the accordion on When I Paint My Masterpiece or soprano saxophone on It Makes No Difference, his creativity elevated the band's sound to new heights. Born Eric Garth Hudson on August 2, 1937 in Windsor, Ontario, Hudson was raised in London, Ontario, in a musical family. His father was a multi-instrumentalist and his mother played the accordion. They nurtured his early talent. He studied at the University of Western Ontario before embarking on a professional music career in the late 1950s, joining local bands and eventually catching the attention of the Hawks. Initially hired with the promise of teaching music to his bandmates, Hudson quickly became the group's eldest member and an indispensable part of the evolving sound. After the band disbanded, following their legendary 1976 farewell concert, The Last Waltz,
Hudson continued to make music. He played on reunion albums, toured to honor the band's legacy, and released solo projects including the 2010 tribute, a Canadian celebration of the band. Hudson's contributions were widely recognized. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1994, the Canadian Music Hall of Fame in 1989, and received a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award in 2008. Hudson's wife and musical partner of 43 years, Maud Hudson, predeceased him in 2022. Garth Hudson leaves behind a legacy of unmatched artistry and innovation, cementing his place as one of rock's most unique and influential musicians. May he rest in peace.
We did that one yesterday and got a lot of feedback. It's interesting with YouTube. When I remember we first got on YouTube eight years ago, we'd do an obituary. I didn't really want to do them. I remember thinking, well, I didn't get on here. I just want to do my interviews. And it was Shannon that says, well, why don't you just cover rock and roll and you've got to do obituaries. And it's a great way. And I found that they were very, well, first of all, people need to say goodbye, and we kind of have an avenue for that. And a lot of other great YouTubers are doing the same thing of going, well, if you're going to report on someone having a new album, that something's coming in, you better, as you put it, write about something that's going out. And that was the case. I think we're losing you, Shan. There you go.
So I've got a needy dog.
Show the dog
that hopped up.
It's not really on topic, but there's our little. What is he? An Aussie what?
An Oscillator. He's really needy and he likes to be held and stuff like that.
Yeah. So thanks. Not that we want to go off topic, but Garth was one of those guys. I mean, I like the quote from Jay Semko of the Northern Pikes where he talks about the fact that that he was in a few videos. I remember recognizing him right away. I said, "Well, Garth Hudson's in a video. What's going on? I haven't seen him in a long time." But it was really nice to see him, and he's kept a low profile through the years, but really honored the band when he was doing concerts and stuff like that. And I don't know why I thought Robbie Robertson. Not that it really matters. I always thought Robbie Robertson would be the last person to leave the planet by a long shot because he always looked. Remember Somewhere Down the Crazy River? Oh, some of the stuff that Robbie Robertson put out as well. But they were all very unique players. They were all unique people in that band. And they did create music that, look at the response we got and all the other YouTubers and all the other newspaper clip. I mean, I don't remember the last time we did something where people were going, wow, really? Like a Wild Wizard, a Mensa member, the guy, what someone had said that what was that quote? I really like it. Who was that from? Was that from Colin?
Yeah, Colin.
Okay, can you read that one again? That was really a good one.
So saddened by the passing of my great friend and hero, Garth Hudson. Garth was tremendously kind, Mensa smart, and constantly fascinated with music. He had a wonderful sense of humor and was greatly encouraging to musicians of all ages and interests. As Richard Bell used to say, there's all the musicians in the world, and then there's Garth.
And here's Colin and Garth here. Great, and Colin Linden is an amazing guitar player. He's just an amazing guy. Just talked to one of his bandmates, Tom Wilson, a little while ago. Tom was a great interview too. But thank you for. I guess we'll probably have a few more comments before we leave. But thanks for all the folks who have come on. Do we have any we want to read before we?
Dave Rogers says, appreciate the updates on this understated legend.
Well said.
Thank
you.
Blaze says again, Brother John, after listening to them with Dylan, it looks like they had so much fun playing like members of a family who get together around the holidays. Breaks out the guitars and play.
Well, I haven't seen anything from Dylan yet. Not that it hasn't come out, but I went into his Facebook page and I didn't see anything. I'm sure there will be something, of course, because they have a long history together where they record like 3 albums at least. Thanks for everyone who tuned in this afternoon. We're going to try to come in. We always say this, but because of kids and we've had a lot of family things we've had to look at.
In life in general.
In life, then I thought I was losing eyesight in my left eye. It was a long story, and I started going, well, if I don't work, I don't make any money. I kind of have to work, but we hope that's been solved now, so we're going to come on more often. And by the way, when we don't do an obituary or a tribute, it usually means that, we have family things going on, because people are going, hey, why didn't you do an obituary for that? And I'm going, we can't hit them all. We hit almost all of them. That's a good thing. But sometimes, the other day, especially this week, we were in the studio working on another big project, which we'll tell you about real soon. But it's John Bowden, Shannon Edwards. This is Rock History Music. Take really good care of yourself.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.